If you're looking to sit the new ACCA Audit Risk and Control or E3 exam, then there's a few initial thoughts that I had when I looked at the new syllabus and the new specimen exam that you might want to take note of. So a lot of stuff in it is pretty similar to what we've seen before in audit and assurance. So a lot of the questions and examiner reports and Park exam will still be pretty relevant. So the syllabus is fairly similar. There's still some written questions and there's lots of multiple choice questions. But I think one of the biggest changes that you'll see if you study this or retaking it or thinking about doing it in future is that the financial reporting knowledge you're going to need is going to be at a much higher level than we did before. So in previous audit and assurance, you would have done just a financial accounting module at that kind of knowledge level. But now the expectation is that you have done the new financial reporting module. Now that means you have to carefully plan your studies. And it also means there's going to be much more technical financial reporting exam, which is definitely going to make that harder and bring that up a level. So you're going to need to refresh your knowledge a bit more on beyond provisions and those kind of depreciation-y type things. Okay, so we're going to be looking at investment properties and leases and those kind of things, which is going to make it harder. Okay, there's also maybe in a more positive light, there is a much bigger increase in the level of multiple choice questions, i.e. there used to be 3 written questions that were 70 marks of the exam, and now there's only going to be 2 written questions that are 40 marks. There'll be 2 20-mark questions like there were before, but that 30 marker that used to be there that was written will be translated into a multiple choice set of questions. But those multiple choice questions will be split into 2 groups. One set that's going to be multiple choice like you might have seen before, 2 marks each, and then another set of multiple choice questions, so 30 marks in total for those ones as well. That will have 2 marks each, but they'll be scenario based. So it's likely one might be around internal controls or something like that, but the whole scenario will be there. So it's a bit more like other exams again that we've seen at this level. Now, what that does mean for the written questions is in the past, we typically had like a confirmed internal controls question and a risk question. So we knew that those were like almost guaranteed to come up, but we weren't really sure what the third one was, whether it was testing or so on. But the nature of the written questions that we might get now, because they're on any syllabus area, okay, it does mean that they could be a bit more difficult to predict. Okay, and this is again in 18 months ahead, theory and all of that stuff. But there are some core questions that we do need to prove with a written question. So risk questions, really good, audit risk. Internal control questions, great. Audit procedures, great. But it could be that we're going into a slightly more complex realm of, like you've seen in the specimen exam, an ethics set of written questions. Okay, that's more typical of what we saw at AAA than we did at as we currently see versus AA. So just want to be aware of in terms of practicing, there'll be a broader set of written questions to practice. There are some minor changes to the syllabus overall. When you look at the syllabus content, you can start to pick at straws a little bit, but there's a bit more focus on sustainability. So sustainability in audit risk and sustainability in completion or reporting has a bit more of a call out in the syllabus. So again, that might mean that given the nature of it being like a key theme and a bit more focus in the whole qualification, we might see a few more sustainability issues cropping into the exam. The other thing that's new, and I'm very excited about it because I think it's a great question, is business risks will be coming down from AAA down into this new E3 audit exam, okay, at the expertise level. So that means you'll be potentially doing a question that evaluates some or explains some business risks. Okay, and those business risks is just you put the hat on as if you were the person running the business, as opposed to necessarily the audit hat, okay, which is thinking about the impact on the financial statements. We're just taking that kind of similar view as what we do with internal controls. And maybe finally, there was mention of Excel. So it might mean that there's a bit more use of Excel in the exam. And now what that looks like, we'll see in the future. But it might mean, for example, we might have to do a few more calculations, maybe your ratios are in Excel. And it's just bringing in that technology aspect that stops people having to manually do things on a calculator for that exam. So hope that helps give you little bit of an insight. These are just some initial thoughts seeing the specimen exam that came out yesterday. So hope you enjoy.